All right, hello everybody and welcome to our webinar for our amazing commuter community. We will take just a second here to allow all of our participants to log in. It does just take about a minute for everybody to get logged in, but we are so happy that you're joining us today. We have some staff members as well as an awesome current student here to give their experiences and to answer all of your questions. So as you enter the group, please feel free to send your questions with the Q&A function. We would love it if you feel comfortable enough to use your name rather than the anonymous feature, only because then we can follow up with you if we don't have time to answer all the questions. We'd love to get any questions here submitted in the Q&A function, and then we will get to them right after some introductions and a little bit of information that we wanted to pass along to you. So we will give it just another second here really quickly. My name is Kelly. I work in the Office of Admission. I may be some of your admission counselors, or we may have chatted in the past. I'm going to moderate and monitor our Q&A box. So again, definitely send those questions in as soon as you are ready. We will give folks just one more second here. We are recording this session, so if you are not able to hear everything or you have to get disconnected, we are happy to send it to you after the fact. Okay, so it looks like our attendee list is pretty stable. So we'll go ahead and get started, and anybody who joins us later, we will catch you up. So first, I'm going to pass it over to Blake, and we can have everybody introduce themselves.
Hey y'all, Blake Petty. I'm our Director of Residence Life at Oglethorpe. So part of my job is doing all of our housing, our day-to-day operations with housing, our RAs, and supervising all of our residence halls. But that second half of my job is commuter programming and commuter services. So kind of seems weird that it falls under residence life, but for us, we care about all of our students and kind of making a home on campus, regardless if you're a resident or not. So we've chosen for it to fall under us and fall under me. I've been at Oglethorpe about 4 years now and been able to continue to do our commuter services for the 4 years that I've been here. So excited to talk to you guys. Rachel?
Hello, my name is Rachel Clark. I am the Assistant Director of Campus Life, and I have been in my role for about a week and a half now. So I'm still learning, and I have a lot more to learn as we go through the summer, but I'm excited for the fall and excited to see all of your faces.
Hi, my name is Yasmin. I am a transfer student, and I'm also a commuter. I just completed my first year at Oglethorpe University, and I'm here to give advice on what it's like as a commuter student.
All right, now that all of us have introduced ourselves, I just have a few things that I want to kind of briefly talk about, kind of what's it like to be a commuter, what are some of the resources for commuters, what are some of the things that we like for you to know before you come, and then I think we'll open it up for our Q&A for you to ask as many questions as you need to. A few of the things that I want to highlight are the resources that are available for commuters. One of the biggest ones that we do is we host a monthly, what we call Commuter Corner. Our Commuter Corners are a time for commuters to get together, which will be an interesting way we tackle that in COVID-19 world. But we do get together once a month, and share a meal together either through the dining hall or through a catered meal, where it's a chance for commuters to interact and to connect. It's held every Wednesday, or the Wednesday of the month, and so we try to do that where commuters get the chance to meet each other, talk, and we give some commuter-specific information at that time. A lot of times we'll have guest speakers, so there's times where we brought in the Career Services Office, and they'll do a resume workshop, or there's times where our SGA has come and done information about the elections coming up or things like that. So we try to find ways to reach out to our commuter students and get them involved as well. The other thing is for you new students is fall orientation. So in fall, we always have a specific commuter session for commuter students in that orientation time block. It will look a little different obviously this year, but we are gonna have that this fall. And so it's a really good time to kind of connect about what's it like to start as a commuter, what's it, thinking about traffic and thinking about MARTA and different things like that. So we do that every year, and that's something we really look forward to. Two other resources that I want to point out. We have lockers on campus. So we have two big walls of commuter lockers. So those are for rent. They're pretty cheap. They're only $15 for the year. And we allow students to rent those. So if you don't want to carry your books back and forth, you can rent a locker. The last thing we have, which might not happen in the fall due to COVID-19, but probably will happen in the spring, is our commuter residency program. Our commuter residency program is something we started about 2 years ago as part of a grant that we applied for and tried to start. But what it does is allows commuters that want to stay on campus for 1 or 2 nights. Maybe it's to do a group project, study for a test that you have the next morning, or just to kind of understand more of what it's like to live on campus. It allows you to do that. Honestly, think of it like a hotel. We become a hotel for a night, and we allow commuter students to stay on campus. It's a pretty cheap fee. We only do it for about $10 a night, so it's not like it's very expensive, but we do offer that. Again, I do not think we'll do it for the fall because of COVID-19, but it might be something we do for the spring. So we're really excited. That's something we really enjoyed, and a lot of students have taken advantage of. The last thing I want to talk about is the meal plan. So if you don't know, all commuter students have a $225 meal plan that gets directly deposited back to you as a declining balance. So you pay $225, you get $225. That declining balance can be used for our on-campus meal services or for our on-campus Starbucks. It's a really great way to stay connected on campus and to be able to use those funds for grabbing coffee before class in the morning or to grab lunch in between classes. And it rolls over. So between each semester, if you don't use it all for the fall, it rolls over for the spring. Only thing it doesn't roll over is from year to year, so spring into the fall. So you got to use it by the end of the academic year. But it is a great way to be able to stay connected and something that all commuter students have. There are some block plans available. So if you know you're going to eat on campus a lot, there are block plans available. You can purchase them in 25 meal blocks or 50 meal blocks, and that gets you access to the dining hall as well through that meal service. So you can find all that information on our website and on our in looking up that kind of stuff. But if you have more questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you with that. So that is all I have, and I will turn it back over to Kelly for any questions.
Awesome. And I would also love to hear a little bit from Yasmin if you have any thoughts on the best ways for other commuter students to get involved on campus, or ways to make friends, or even just ways to stay on top of your schoolwork, knowing you have to go back and forth a little bit more than if you were living on campus. So any of those things you can touch on. You don't have to hit all of them, but do you have any pieces of advice or experiences you'd like to share with our commuter students?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I think is really important as a commuter student is time management. Obviously, that's important for any student, but when you're a commuter, you have to keep in mind, for example, if you live 30 minutes away, an hour away, that cuts into the time that you might spend on campus, possibly working on a group project. Or personally, I spent so much time in our Cousins Center just working because it's a nice environment. It feels nice inside. It's very weather controlled. And it's a collaborative space where you can see all the other students, which is really important. It goes a long way in feeling included in the community. Personally, I'm involved in 3 clubs. I joined the Oglethorpe chapter of International Justice in the fall, and I joined the art club. And then recently, in this past spring semester, we created the Oglethorpe Idea Incubator, which is a club that's focused on entrepreneurial efforts, helping people design and navigate that sphere, the business sphere, which was a really rewarding club to be a part of. But one thing as well that I really had to keep in mind when choosing clubs to join was what time they occurred at. Several of these clubs, for example, the art club met from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., which for me, that worked really well because, I don't want to be in rush hour traffic, 6 to 7 p.m. So that's something that I definitely had to keep in mind. The other thing that I really want to emphasize is structuring your schedule. I would definitely advise against an 8 a.m. class if you can. Even if personally, I live 20 minutes from campus, and even then, it can be hard, especially during rush hour traffic in the morning, to get to class on time. And it's also about, you want to make sure that you have time, for example, if you have an assignment that everybody has those things that they leave to last minute. If you have an 8 a.m. class, it can be difficult to make sure that you have all your work done in that scenario. Personally, what really helped me was reaching out to my advisor, talking with him about his experiences with working with students that are commuters, and making sure that my schedule was a bit more grouped together. So I tried to take classes in blocks. So for example, I would have 2-3 classes in a row, and then I would be done for Monday and Wednesday. That really helped me because that made sure that, first of all, I was getting to class on time, and then I was leaving class ideally before rush hour started or after rush hour started, which made sure that I wasn't spending too much time in traffic, and I was utilizing my time to the best of my ability, especially my time on campus. Spending time on campus is very valuable. Any commuter can tell you that. And it's definitely something that you want to prioritize. And speaking on the commuter corner, that was actually where I met one of my best friends who is also a commuter, and we shared the same chemistry class, but didn't realize we were both commuters until we saw each other at the commuter corner. So that is definitely something that you want to get involved with when you're finally here at Oglethorpe. It is a great program, and it definitely helps you make lasting connections with people you might not have realized were also commuters.
Perfect. That's all really good advice. And I love the point you brought up about hanging out in the Cousin Center and things like that. I had 3 advisees this year, all freshman students, and one of them was a commuter. And one thing I think she did really well is if she had a few classes one day, but there was a long break, it can be tempting to maybe run home and take a nap or something. But if you can, it's great to go to the dining hall, study at Cousins, go to Starbucks, because that's where you're going to see folks. And it's tempting to just come to campus for class and then go home, but it is hard to become a part of the community that way. So take advantage of the fact that you still get to go to college on a beautiful campus and there's still awesome people around. We still want to see your face, even though you don't live here. That doesn't mean you're not an equal part of the community. So make sure that you're still hanging out and saying hi to folks. Let's see some questions that we have. What are some essentials that students need regardless of whether they're living on or off campus? That's a good question. I don't know if anybody feels like they have an answer to that, but what are some essential items that students should need?
Get a planner. You need one. Especially one that I got that really helped was a daily planner. So it is structured by the day, by the hour. That really, really helped me with blocking out exactly what times I was in classes and then figuring out which hours I could spend on campus. For example, in the library, just reading a book, just being around people is definitely something it helps you mentally and makes you feel part of the community. A planner is essential. I would also recommend a bigger book bag. For example, if you have a laptop, or even if you don't have a laptop, I keep several binders depending on the type of class, just my personal preference. And having a bigger backpack certainly makes sure that, if I forget one day, it's still in there and I can take things out as I needed.
Good advice. We have another question there. It's not super on topic for this, but I want to make sure that we address it. So somebody is wondering, can we rent computers for online classes that start in August? Our library does rent some technological equipment like tablets and computers and things like that. There haven't in the past been necessarily for super long-term use, but we're definitely aware that there may be more of a need for that based on what's going on. So stay tuned for some more updates that may be available. If you don't have a computer and you need one and you're not sure of different options, reach out to your admission counselor. We're definitely willing to talk with you about best options for you and what we think you might need. So definitely hang on to that question and we'll talk more about it in the future. Let's see. All right, so definitely send us your questions. We haven't gotten too many yet, but if you have questions even just about campus life, things that are going on, we're happy to answer those as well. Let's see. Perfect. All right, so Hussein asks, do commuters need some sort of parking pass for the campus? So does somebody want to mention parking passes, the process, the price, things like that real quick?
Sure. Yes, you do need a parking pass. Everybody on campus is required to have one. Even us as staff, we have a parking pass. And there's a commuter specific lot. So there's two different lots that you can park in, either by the gym, which is over near Cousins that Yasmin was talking about, or you can park over by Hearst, which is one of the main academic buildings. In order to get a parking pass, our director of campus safety, Dwayne Smalls, sends out an email to all students. It'll probably go out somewhere at the start of August. And he will send it out, and everybody can, and you can purchase a parking pass through that online system. I believe for commuters, it's $75 for the year. So it's a pretty good rate, pretty cheap for the city of Atlanta. But whenever you get that email, go ahead and sign up, fill out your stuff, and you'll get it in the mail. It'll be able to pick up whenever you come on campus in the fall. But yes, you do need one. So make sure you do, or you will get a ticket, and then you don't want to pay the fine for getting a ticket.
And sorry if you mentioned this, Blake, but typically they, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't usually ticket the first 2 weeks of classes so that you have time to actually get one. Is that right?
Yeah, it's normally the first 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, so it'll just kind of depend on, but they'll send out a notice about how long it will take, and then they'll send out one right before they start ticketing. So then normally say like after this date, which normally it's always after Labor Day, but of course we're starting later, so I'm not sure what they'll pick for this upcoming year. But it'll normally be after the first 2.5 weeks. They'll say we're sending out an email, hey, we're now going to start ticketing. So you have time if you don't do it in August, but when that email goes out, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, so if you aren't able to pick it up or get it done right before classes start, don't panic. We are not going to write you a ticket your first day of class. Just make sure you do it when you have a chance, and we'll definitely help you with that. Mary asks, I heard that the campus is open to the public at certain times. What would that time be for other people to come on campus? And are there any locations they are not allowed to? So for visitors, what does that look like?
Sure. So campus is open from 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And that's for everybody. That's for guests, faculty, staff, students. For your students and for students in general, you can come onto campus 24/7. There is no time that you can't be on campus. Your Petrol Pass gets you onto campus through the main front gate. For commuters specifically, obviously some of our buildings do close down. The Cousin Center is our 24-hour space. So the Cousin Center is actually open all the time. There's a space designated for the 24-hour area where if you need to print something or you want to study or anything like that, you can always use the Cousin Center. Buildings like Hearst or like Lupton or the library do close down and they have their hours posted. They do close at a certain time at night. For visitors though, again, 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. It's free and open to the campus. After 9:30, you do have to be registered, whether you're visiting somebody, whether you're visiting a student, or something like that. Your student has to call ahead to let you in. But for commuter students, you can come in and out as you please. If you're just a visitor and you wanted just to come see the campus after 9:30, it is closed. You'd have to come back during the normal day. But as long as you got your Petrol Pass, you can come in and out as you wish.
Awesome. Anna asks, what are some more commuter-friendly activities in between classes or during free time? So what are some things you'd recommend commuters do when they're on campus and not in class?
One thing that I personally really enjoy is Oglethorpe is in the town of Brookhaven, and pretty much obviously not everything, but Brookhaven is very accessible on foot and even more accessible by car if you are a commuter. There's so much to explore, even just for example, if you enjoy nature, there are several parks in that area. There's shopping centers, etc. There's even a movie theater that is a dine-in movie theater, I believe, just minutes away by foot. So there are plenty of activities that you can do. If you're looking more to get involved on campus specifically, honestly, just wandering around campus, you will meet people. People will recognize you, and people will talk to you. Even if you've just shared one class or just seen each other during orientation, people will wave to you, and it's great to talk to people, see what they're doing, and to get involved with friend groups that do live on campus as well. In particular, the quad, so the center of our campus is a green space. And especially when the weather is really nice, you can find people just laying out on blankets or playing Frisbee or any number of fun activities like that. So if you have the free time between classes, I definitely recommend if you're the social type, or even if you're not the social type, just to wander on campus and enjoy the scenery, because it is a very beautiful campus. If you're looking for something a bit more personal or a bit more not as social, the library is open during school hours, of course. And we also have a technology lab, which you can use it as needed.
And one thing I'll add too is we, in the last couple of years, have really tried to do a lot of midday programming. So somebody in our office, her name is Natasha, and she does all of our health and wellness programming. And we really try to do those during the day. So they'll do the pet therapy during the day. There's a stress-free zone most of the time from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, where you can come and play with kinetic sand or get just relax and listen to calming music, essential oils, stuff like that. So we've really tried to put an emphasis on doing some of that programming during the day. So that would help kind of in between classes being able to have something to do, whether that be in the TLCC or whether that be out on the academic quad as well. And I will say the other thing is we do have, again, I say these things now, but COVID-19 might change some of this, but all of the stuff that's open to our residential students, so the track, the gym, all those things are open during the day and open to commuter students as well. You guys have access to that just as much as our residential students do. So taking advantage of that is something I really recommend. If you want to, you have classes at 9 and 10, you don't have a break till 2, going and working out or going for a walk around the track or something like that. It's something that you can absolutely take advantage of.
We also have tennis courts that are open to students and faculty. I go to the gym very often. I wasn't sure with COVID-19 if it would be open this fall, but the gym is actually really nice. And I spend, when I have a break or, for example, last semester my classes would end at 11. I'd just go to the gym just for a little bit, just to work out the stress.
Yeah, and there's always activities like Blake mentioned. We have a site called OU Connect that lists all the activities that are coming up that week. They'll send an email out weekly. There's printed out in the bathrooms called Stall Wall that'll say everything that's going on during the week. So you have a little bit of a way to, if you're a planner, kind of, as Yasmin was saying with the planner, kind of slot in activities that you want to participate in. If you don't, you can just show up and see what's going on at the TLCC or elsewhere. It's also great to, just hang out outside the dining hall, like Yasmin said, because we're a small campus. You'll see your friends walking by, they'll stop in, you'll chat. And it is really walkable. So from campus, you can walk to a bunch of different restaurants, coffee shops, the grocery store, movie theater, like she said, shopping. So if you want to get off campus, but not have to get in your car and still hang out with your friends, you can easily do that. So that is definitely something that we recommend. So mix it up, stay involved. And Blake already mentioned the commuter dining fee. And that's actually really helpful for you guys to make sure that you do eat on campus some, because I know it's tempting to just be like, I'll go home and eat. But the dining hall is where folks hang out during the day. So it's not a fee and that it's just something we're charging you. It is a balance that you use 100% of it for food in the dining hall. So that's a great way to stay connected also. Hussein asks, this may not be super commuter related, but what are some of the later class times offered? Is anyone able to speak to when classes are often offered on campus?
I will say, I'll be honest, I am not the best with all of our class times, but my understanding is they start at 8. And I think our last, especially on Monday, Wednesday, there's a 6 to 8 night class block. And an 8 to 10 or an 8 to 10 block as well. So there are some night classes, and there's quite a few that are offered on Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday. But honestly, you'll find classes all throughout the day. The biggest block obviously will be kind of middle of the day, probably that 10 to 2 time frame. There'll be the most classes, but there are some night classes. Again, the 6 to 8, 5 to 7, there are a few of those kind of sprinkled in that you can take.
Last semester, I took 2 classes that were in the evenings. I took one class from 5 to 6 p.m. and I took another that was from 2 to 5. As Blake mentioned, there are also several classes that are in the actual evenings. I personally, as a chemistry major, I took a class from 6 to 8 p. or sorry, from 5 to 8 p.m. that was a chemistry lab. So that's pretty common with labs. They will often have them evening options. But I believe most of the like major related courses, I haven't seen one in the course catalog that goes past 5 p.m. Or excuse me, let me clarify that. I haven't seen many that go past 5 p.m. that are essential classes, just because many students don't want to be on campus past 5 p.m. But they do many classes offer several sections, so at different times, and some classes will offer more evening-oriented classes.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the program as well. There are certain majors that we offer through what it's called our adult degree program. You guys don't really need to know about that, but it's students are able to do the entire thing at night. So majors that are offered in that program have more night courses, but we do have them available in different areas as well, just depending on the demand. Your course schedule, as you guys know, is built for you. Your first semester is actually a question in the chat about that right now, about if you guys need to do anything for course schedules right now. You don't. We are building your first semester course schedule for you right now. It's going to be given to you in just a couple of weeks when an advisor will reach out to you directly, have a conversation with you about your schedule. If you do need to make any changes, we can definitely talk about that. It's not set in stone. So if you have any major concerns about the classes or the timing, we definitely want to talk to you about that. But after this semester, you get to build your own schedule. So you get to pick your classes, you get to decide what times work best for you as long as they're available. So it's definitely something that you can figure out. Am I more of a night person? Do I find that the traffic makes more sense for me at this time or that time? So that's definitely that you can do, something you can do moving forward, and figure out what works best for you and your needs as a student and as a commuter student. Let's see. Now, you may not be able to answer this, Yasmin. It sounds like you didn't have too many night classes, but we can just see what we get. Talia asks, how do you manage to complete homework assignments in a timely manner with night courses? So how do you stay motivated to get things done when you're going to class later on in the day?
Yeah, I can definitely speak on that. I am a full-time student, and I also work full-time. So time management was definitely a big thing for me this year. With respect to assignment deadlines, most professors, and I say most because I'm certain there will be a professor that will change this rule, try to have their assignments due by 11:59 p.m. of the day they are due. So this gives you some flexibility. Hopefully you're not on campus until right at midnight. But really the most important thing is to know what is due every single week. Really important is to look at the syllabus. Oftentimes the syllabi will list the dates that assignments are due. Obviously these are subject to change, but having a general idea in your planner of when an assignment might be due definitely helps you with planning for your week. When do I need to get these assignments done? Personally, I work the best at nighttime. This, partially procrastination, partially a preference, but I do tend to get a lot of my assignments done in the evening. And as a result, I definitely try to set aside at least 2-3 hours in the evening that I am dedicating to my homework. Even if it's not an assignment that's necessarily due immediately, getting stuff out of the way, getting it turned in, definitely helps, especially as a commuter and especially for taking evening courses.
Yeah, and that's another thing you can do when you're on campus in between classes. We have study cubes, for example, in our Cousin Center. There's plenty of space in the library and all the different buildings and the TLCC, depending on how much noise you're comfortable with. That's something that you can do if you have 2 hours between classes. You just got an assignment the day before. You can go ahead and start working on it with that time. You can have a study group and still have it be fun, but that's a great way to both be on campus and get your work done. And then even besides that, kind of no matter when your classes are, college is very different from high school, as you guys know, in that your actual time spent in class is way less. But you still have to make use of that time. So if you're in class 12 hours a week, that doesn't mean you only are doing academic things 12 hours a week. So in that off time, it's important to make sure you're dedicating specific blocks of time to working on what you need to work on and staying on top of it and having your planner, just like Yasmin said. But we're here to help you. Your Compass advisor is here to help you. Your, any friends on campus, professors all want to help. So if you have trouble adjusting, that's what we're here for. And we definitely want to make sure that you're able to make that transition. So don't stress, we got you. It looks like we don't have any other questions in the Q&A right now. If anybody wants to send us a couple more questions, we still have time to answer them. So we'll give you another minute or two to submit your questions to make sure that we get a chance to view everyone's, even if it's just about campus life or anything you want to hear from a student perspective or anything like that. We are happy to answer those, but we have a lot other Moodle webinars coming up, so there will be more chances to submit those as well. Does anybody have other things they'd like to mention, pieces of advice to give, or we do have a question. Unrelated question, that's okay. Do we send our final dual enrollment transcripts to the admissions office or the registrar's office? That's a great question. Please send it to the admissions office. The email that you should send it to is admission, no S on the end, just ADMISSION @oglethorpe.edu. If you can't remember that, just send it to your admission counselor. We'll make sure it gets to the right person. But you can send us those as soon as they're available. If your college sends it, it is official. If you send it, it is unofficial. We'll still take it, but we need the official version in order to really use it the way we want to. So send us those to the admission office and we will make sure you get your credit for the classes that you've taken. All right, do we have any other questions? Here we go. I know this was addressed earlier, but for studying for classes, do you have a home setup for studying or do you try to squeeze in study sessions on campus? So what's your perspective on dedicated study space, Yasmin?
A dedicated study space is really, really important, especially at home and even on campus. Personally, I really enjoy studying in Cousins. You can find, even if it's not an isolated room, it's generally pretty quiet in Cousins, so it's a good study space, and also you're around people. But I've read a study about having like a dedicated space for where you do your work helps put your brain into the mode of, I need to work on this, I need to focus. One thing I absolutely advise against is do not study in your bed. Your bed is not a study space because not only is it hard to study, but also it makes it harder to fall asleep, and it's just a lose-lose in that situation. Personally, I have a small desk. I keep all of my relevant materials, my calculator, etc., and I dedicate it specifically to studying. And it helps me stay on top of the assignments that I have due because I even have a small calendar where I write down this, and this is what I need to do. Writing down the assignments that you have due and when they are due helps crystallize it in your brain and helps you remember that this is what I need to get done. And it definitely has helped me a lot in that respect. If you don't necessarily have the equipment or the materials to set up a dedicated study space, even just finding like a space on the floor and setting a pillow down to sit on and having your materials around, it doesn't have to necessarily be a permanent structure, but having a specific area where you study really helps because it lets your brain know, I need to study, this is study time.
I was totally going to say the thing about the bed, so I'm glad you said it. You do not want your bed to become mixed up in this is where I study, because you'll get sleepy when you want to study and then you can't sleep when you want to sleep. So just not a good plan if you can avoid it. Somebody asked, do you have any tips on learning to better manage time? So, you already threw out some great tips, and if you have any more, we'll take them. One thing I recommend that I use, some people like a physical planner, and those are fantastic. I use an electronic planner. So I use a site called ClickUp. It's free. You can use any one that you want. I like this one because it shows me everything in one place, and you can set it to send reminders so that you actually get it on your phone, like, hey, don't forget to do your assignment. And if you do, misplace your planner, or you have a bunch of different notebooks you write stuff in, you always have this one that shows you everything that's going on. So that's the one that I like. But something to keep track of everything you have to do is essential, especially if you're also working and doing other things. Do other folks have thoughts on how they manage their time effectively?
Yeah, when I was a commuter student my freshman year, I would record my notes, like me talking through my notes or reading my textbook, and then I would just play it back to myself on my commute, and that was a little bit helpful, especially on days where I had a test, just to hear myself going through my notes again along my drive was helpful. And then when you're studying, it's important to set different, like if you study for an hour, give yourself a 10-minute break. If you consistently sit there and study for 3 hours, you actually probably won't be as productive as if you set scheduled breaks for yourself. So study for an hour, take a 10-minute break to stand up, stretch, walk around, and then come back to your work.
Agreed. Okay. Anna asks, in trying to be integrated in campus life, how accessible are campus or in-class activities, such as times they are hosted and how long they last, etc.? So it's kind of a general question, but what are you guys' thoughts on how able students are to get engaged in those other activities?
I know Yasmin talked about the club she was a part of this year. But one of the best things that I love about Oglethorpe is not only is everything accessible to you, but if something is missing or you want to do something, you can. So we might be small, but there's over 70 clubs and organizations on campus. There is tons and tons and tons of things to get involved with. So, but if there's something that you just don't see, if there's we always joke that the knitting club is one that we would love to see started, or it's one of those jokes on campus for some reason. But if you're really passionate about knitting, like, start the knitting club. It's not hard. There's an easy process to go through to start a club. So if you're worried about getting involved, but you don't see something on OU Connect, or you don't see something on the stall wall that piques your interest, talk with your friends, see what you can do, and start a club on your own. And so that's something that's really great about this small school of Oglethorpe, is you can do what you want. It's not like we have a cap on the number of student organizations. As long as you get a few friends together, you get it approved through SGA, you can start whatever you want. I would say Yasmin was talking about all the different clubs and organizations she's a part of, but I've seen commuters be involved in everything from programming board, which is our big on-campus event, campus board, to SGA, to and Yasmin was talking about the art club, or to Anime Anonymous. Anything like that, you can get involved in. A lot of the big events obviously are held mostly at night, where classes aren't happening, to where everybody can go. But we make it accessible to you. So if you can get to campus, if it's an off-campus event, if you can get to campus, we bus you there. It's not like you have to get there on your own. We take you to wherever the off-campus event is, and if it's on campus, again, it might be at night, but it might be several hours long. So it might start at 5 and not until 8. So you might get out of class at 5, can come for an hour or two, grab something to eat, and then head home. And so I think those are the easiest ways to get involved, but also you can do what you want.
And nobody has asked about public transportation, but I want to make sure that we mention it. Not everybody has a car, and that's okay. We have, so here in Atlanta, you guys probably know if you're commuters, but just in case anyone doesn't, MARTA is our public transportation system. There is a bus stop literally at campus, like right outside, and there is a MARTA train station less than a mile from campus, right on the same road. So if that is something that you're thinking about doing, or you are planning on doing, it's definitely accessible for you to access Oglethorpe from either of those forms of public transit. If you have questions about how that works, definitely let us know. We're happy to chat more about it. But you do not have to have a car on campus in order to still come. We definitely have students who utilize both of those different things. Even some who do have a car, who want to be green or want to just not sit in traffic. Some students, do their homework while they're on the train because they're not driving. So those are different options for us as well. All right, I think we are, oh, there's one. Oh, well, that's just a nice message of thank you. This was super helpful and very much appreciated. Love that. I think we are out of questions for the moment. If you guys have questions, please reach out to your counselor. We are happy to help if you want to talk to a student. Our students, as you can see, are super friendly and nice and helpful, and oftentimes we can connect you with one. So even if you're looking for a student perspective, you can still reach out to your admission counselor. We can pass along questions to Blake and his team if you have additional questions you'd like to ask of them. So be sure to keep talking to us. We want to answer everything and make sure that you feel really comfortable and excited about being here in the fall, because we are super excited to welcome you. If you need anything else, please reach out. Do you guys have any final words you'd like to share with the group, or anything you'd like to tell them before we head out? You don't have to.
One thing I did want to say is that it can be easy as a commuter to think that you're not necessarily a part of the Oglethorpe campus life. Personally, I found myself, even though I was involved on campus, I kept thinking, oh, well, it'd be easier if I lived on campus. But at the end of the day, you are a Petrel. Even if you don't live on campus, you are a part of the Oglethorpe community, and people recognize you as a part of the community. So don't be scared to reach out to your community when you need it, to get involved with your Oglethorpe community, and to make a difference on campus, because every single Petrel is part of the flock.
Yeah, and I know it's been discussed a little bit, but I would definitely encourage everybody to get involved in at least one club or organization, and go to something that you haven't experienced yet. So whether that's some type of athletic game or some type of play or performance or whatever it is, do something that you've never done before, because college might be the only opportunity that you have to do it.
You're on mute, Kelly.
Got it. 100%. And, a lot of students, they're like, how am I going to get involved right away? And something that we didn't mention, and again, we have to see what COVID will allow us to do. But we always have student activities fairs in the beginning of the semester. So that's where, folks have booths and they're talking up their activity and their group, and they want you to get involved. So if you just kind of want to browse around and see what's there, then that is there for you. We also, just because you go to a meeting doesn't mean you're joining something. So we really encourage you to go give it a try. You can meet people. It's an easy way to just put your foot in the water. So don't feel shy about trying things out. Definitely something we recommend. And your campus advisor too is going to actually be checking in with you and like kind of prodding you, like, hey, have you gone to any meetings yet? Have you, met any people on campus? Have you been going straight home after class? So we're definitely going to be checking in with you. We don't want you to fall through the cracks at all. So if you're a little bit shy and slow to warm up, like this is still a place for you. We have as many of those students as we do the super go-getter, want to be involved in everything. So you are going to fit in here, and you're gonna do great. Somebody asked about possibly contacting Yasmin after the fact. I am going to send her email address to this person who asked. If anybody else is curious, I don't want to list it out there because we are going to post a recording and she may not be comfortable with everyone on the internet having her. But if you would like to talk to her, you're welcome to send me a message or your admission counselor a message, and we're happy to connect you guys. Let me just put that in here. And then somebody asked, how do you join a club? Does anyone want to quickly mention how you can actually join a club?
So the student activities fair, I also forgot to mention it. It's a lot of fun. You get to see all the different clubs that are available and that are active on campus. But if you are unable to attend it, or if due to COVID-19, it's not being hosted, you can still contact either the advisor for the club or the student president for the club to ask about joining. That's how I joined some of my other ones.
And we've talked about it a couple of times, but OU Connect will be the biggest way to do that. OU Connect is our resource on campus for all things clubs and organization related. And you'll hear a lot about that when we get to fall orientation, about how to log in, how to get involved, and how to find things on there. And that'll be a really big way to get involved with clubs and organizations.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your participation. Thank you to our attendees for joining us. Conversation doesn't have to stop here. Please reach out and we will continue to chat with you about all the opportunities for you. But we appreciate your time and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.